Hello guys, welcome to this morning's webinar. You're very welcome. Brian O'Donovan, how are they all in Castle Pollard these days? Hello Brian.
Hello.
Can you see me?
I can. How are you, Andrew?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Can you see the screen for the webinar, the welcome screen? You can?
I can see welcome to IMR's October webinar, and I can see your beautiful deck.
I love to hear.
Face, Andrew.
I love to hear, Brian. I love to hear. I'm going to mute you now because I can do that. You know, it's just wonderful. Hello, Louise. Hello, Louise Kelly. How are you? Mute Mr. O'Donovan. Hi, Louise. How are they all in France? Louise, can you hear me, sweetie?
No.
I can hear you. Oh, very good. You better mute her up there again. Perfect. Pierce Brown, are you able to see me, my friend?
Morning, Andrew. All good.
I'm delighted. Can you see me and can you see the screen itself?
I can see you on the screen, yes.
That's all that matters, my friend. All right, I'm going to mute you again. Great stuff. Thanks, Pierce, for joining us. Can we scroll down on this so I can see for anyone else? I've got 10 names on it. Good. Ronan Kelly, can you hear me or see me, Ronan? You're not on. Stella Glavin. Stella is out there in Nellypack in Galway. How are you? Sabine Gueron. Sabine. Hello, Sabine. How are you? Is she there? Sabine, can you see me? Can you hear me? All right. Ah, there's Stella. That should be Stella there as well. Very good. Is that Stella?
It is. It's Stella and Alan from Nellypack.
Hello, Stella. How are you getting on? How are they all in the west of Ireland?
We're all fine. We have a lovely fine day here, so that's always a good thing, isn't it?
I'm delighted to hear it, Stella. Come here, Stella. Can you see me? I'm the very pretty guy standing in front of your screen if you can.
I can indeed.
That's super. And you can see the screen, the welcome screen and so on. Welcome to IMR.
Yes, indeed.
Very good. Alan, you're very welcome. Great to have you on, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm pretty good, my friend. I'll be down to you next week, I believe, so we'll talk then. I'm just going to mute the guys from Stellypack, and I am going to talk to who am I speaking to next. We can go down again. Great stuff. So Roman Kuchar, you're there as well. Very welcome, Roman. Good stuff. Ken O'Mahony, just coming online. Isabel, Cal Flannery. So Ken O'Mahony, how are you, sir? How are they all in Cork?
Good, how are you?
I'm very well. You're very welcome. You can see the screen, Ken, and you can see me.
I can indeed. Thanks very much.
That's all that matters, my friend. Good stuff. We'll mute you again. Isabel, how are you this morning? Good morning. Welcome, Dublin office. Right. Can you see me, Isabel? You can see me, Isabel, yeah? You can. Good. Okay. Good stuff, guys. I know there's more people coming on, but I'm going to start the process because we have a very interesting speaker with us this morning. But before I do, can I move this screen thing? I can. I just want to tell you about a very exciting day that we have coming up with our colleagues in Accenture. And what we're looking at is the digital thread Industry X.0. So you can see it there on your screen. It's Wednesday, the 17th of October. It's a breakfast meeting for those of you who are in the region here in Dublin, in our IMR offices. We'll be having a nice light breakfast and then some very interesting panel discussions from the System and Accenture all around the digital threads and how we can engage with this Industry 4.0. So I think it leads very well onto this morning's speaker, who will be very interesting with us as well. So before I start with Billy, I just want to give you a little update in terms of where we are from an IMR perspective. We have pushed out our congregation event from October this year until February of next year. We're also involved in and that was due to the presidential elections. So my apologies for those of you who are looking to come in October. We promise it'll be bigger and better and far more exciting in February of next year. So make sure you put that in your calendar. You'll see elements coming in. So it's my pleasure this morning to welcome Billy Scofield. So Before we start with Mr. Scofield, just to alert you to the fact that he is a Glaswegian, he is a Scotsman. He's been giving us a lecture this morning here offline on how much better Scottish whiskey is than Irish whiskey. I know you'll forgive him for that innocence, and certainly he'll be one that you'll enjoy hearing. So Billy's an advisor to the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland. Extremely senior person in the ecosystem, has spent almost 2 decades in large multinationals, in semiconductors and so on here in this island, and is someone that's well respected in this area. We joined with Billy in a collaborative research program in Industry 4.0 almost 2 years ago at this point, to get a feel and a view on Ireland's industry, its manufacturing industries, and its readiness for the Industry 4.0 revolution. So I've asked Billy to assume that we know nothing about this, to walk us through this from start to finish, and I think at the end of it, you will have a very broad overview of what's going on this island and what this whole Industry 4.0 revolution is going to be all about. So Billy is our only speaker this morning, so I'd encourage you after the 15 or 20 minutes that he's spoken that we'll engage in the question and answer session, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so Billy, if you come to the podium, as the man says, and give us the benefit of your wisdom. Thanks, Billy.
So are Irish manufacturing companies ready for Industry 4.0? I spent the last year researching the readiness of Irish manufacturing companies for Industry 4.0. I am Billy Scofield, and I'm going to share with you what I've learned about the readiness of Irish manufacturing for Industry 4.0. So thank you for joining this webinar today, and I'd like to thank IMR for inviting me to talk with you today. So at the end of this presentation, you'll have a better understanding of the readiness of Irish manufacturing for Industry 4.0, and you have the answers to 4 research questions which I took to solve. So I am a Senior Process Improvement Advisor at the Royal College of Surgeons. I have a Master's in Management of Operations from DCU and a degree in Applied Physics from the University of Strathclyde. Prior to working at the Royal College of Surgeons, I worked in the semiconductor industry. I spent 32 years in process improvement, working for both Intel and Motorola. So the 4 research questions I tried to solve were the following. To what degree have Irish manufacturing companies placed themselves in relation to the opportunities that the 4th industrial revolution is bringing? Do Irish manufacturing companies have a corporate social responsibility programme? And what aspects of Industry 4.0 are being engaged by Irish manufacturing companies? And lastly, are Irish manufacturing companies involved in all the critical elements of the Industry 4.0 concept? So at the end of this presentation, we'll have the answers to these 4 questions. So how did I go about doing my research? So I used survey methods. I done a literature review, a review of the relevant data and literature published on Industry 4.0. I done an online survey, a questionnaire which went out to companies in the IMR network. And I performed face-to-face interviews with IMR industry experts who were engaged with Irish manufacturing. And I'm sure many of you will be familiar with these survey methods. One of the first questions I had to answer was, what is Industry 4.0? What are the concepts of Industry 4.0? And to help me determine that, I built a concept matrix as I was doing my literature review. So I was looking for the most frequent concepts which were talked about in the literature relating to Industry 4.0. And these are the 4 concepts, the 4 key concepts that I derived from the literature on Industry 4.0. So Industry 4.0 is about the smart or connected factory, cyber physical systems, decentralized self-organization, and new manufacturing systems that are adapted to human needs. Industry 4.0 has brought about a new type of robot that is adapted to human needs. It's called a cobot, a collaborative robot. A cobot is a robot that collaborates with a human to achieve a task. In the world of surgery, we've seen huge advancements in the area of robots and cobots. At University Hospital Limerick in 2016, they installed a robotic surgery system, the first one installed in a public hospital in Ireland. So this is the Da Vinci system that they have in University Hospital Limerick. You can see that the surgeon collaborates with the robot to perform the surgery on the patient. The surgeon doesn't even have to be in the same room as a patient, doesn't have to be in the same town as a patient, doesn't have to be in the same continent as a patient. Of the Da Vinci system, there are some 4,400 Da Vinci surgical robots installed in hospitals through the world, and some 43,000 surgeons are trained on the use of Da Vinci. Other popular systems out there are STAR and Vercius. In fact, the National Health Service in UK is investing in Vercius at the moment. So the world of surgery is really dramatically changing because of cobots and Industry 4.0. This is an example of Da Vinci in action. This is an operation 2 weeks ago. A colon surgery via a 2.5 centimetre incision at the belly button, performed by a Da Vinci XI collaborating with surgeon Theodoros Volgananis. Great outcome for the patient. Tiny incision at 2.5 centimetres really minimises infection risk for the patient and achieves a much better outcome from the surgery. So the world of surgery is really changing. Now, the best surgeon in the world is actually a robot. The Smart Tissue Autonomous Robot System was tested in 2016 against expert manual surgeons, and it outperformed the surgeons on every task. So it's official, the best surgeon in the world is a robot. So just reflect a second on how you would feel if you were into hospital tomorrow and you were operated on by Da Vinci or STAR or Vercius. Just think about that for a moment. So what I'll move on to next is who responded to my survey, some questions that I think you might be interested in, and the answers to the 4 research questions that I posed at the start of the presentation. So who responded? Job roles of respondees. Top 4 were individual contributors, owners, managers, senior managers. What organizations, principal industry of the organizations? We've seen a wide diverse of organizations respond. The biggest single one was medical devices at 21% of respondents. What departments did they work in? R&D was the single highest department that the respondents came from. And the sizes of the companies that the respondents worked for, 52% came from companies of less than 500 employees, 29% from companies of greater than 1,000 employees, and 19% from companies between 500 and 1,000 employees. The good news is that 98% had previously heard of the Industry 4.0 concept. On cyber risk, 88% of companies were concerned that the move towards Industry 4.0 would increase cyber risk for manufacturing companies. So a lot of people seen the risk related to Industry 4.0. So findings. Remember research question 1, are Irish manufacturing companies engaged with the key concepts of Industry 4.0. So we have a Pareto graph here in response to the survey question, what Industry 4.0 technology area is your company most focused on? And we can see in red the key concepts that we had identified earlier on in the literature review. So we can see the connected factory, smart factory is second on the Pareto, collaborative robots is on the Pareto, and augmented and virtual reality is on the Pareto, which is a type of cyber-physical system. Missing from the Pareto is the area of decentralized hierarchy. So it appears to be a lack of focus in the area of decentralized hierarchy within Irish manufacturing. And that's important because in an Industry 4.0 setting, fast decision making is important, and decentralized hierarchy enables fast decision making in organizations. Research question 2, what aspects of Industry 4.0 are being engaged by Irish manufacturing companies? So we have a list here of 14 areas that we can see that Irish manufacturing companies are engaging in. And the top area is data analytics. So that's a rise of the data scientists. So Irish manufacturing see a real need for data analytics in their organizations. And that's important information for job seekers and for higher education institutes. Are they producing people with the right skills to fill this data analytics need of Irish manufacturing? Findings 2, research question 3, do Irish manufacturing companies have a meaningful corporate social responsibility programme? For companies of greater than 1,000 employees, yes, 100% strongly agree that they have a CSR programme. For companies between 500 and 1,000 employees, 100% strongly agree that they have a CSR programme. Now, when we come to smaller companies, less than 500 employees, only 14% strongly agree that they have a CSR programme. And we see a diverse range of responses to this question. So there is a gap. Smaller companies in Ireland are not using CSR programmes. And there's probably an opportunity there for larger companies to enable and help smaller companies develop meaningful CSR programmes. Research question 4. To what degree have Irish manufacturing companies placed themselves in relation to the opportunities that the fourth industrial revolution is bringing? As we've seen earlier, 98% had previously heard of the Industry 4.0 concept. 93% believe that Industry 4.0 will boost Ireland's competitiveness. And 60% report that they are already feeling an impact of Industry 4.0 in their organizations. In 2014, 4 years ago, Ronald Berger, strategy consultants, done an analysis by country looking at industry readiness for 4.0. At that time, Ireland was identified as an Industry 4.0 frontrunner. And the research I've done so far supports that information. Ireland is well enabled on Industry 4.0. So conclusions from my research. This research has established that Irish manufacturing companies are engaged in 3 of the 4 key concepts of Industry 4.0 as identified in the literature review: the smart factory, cyber-physical systems, robotics. There is a lack of focus in the area of decentralized self-organization. This research has determined that larger Irish manufacturing companies do have corporate social responsibility programs, but there's a gap in the adoption of CSR policies by small companies in Ireland. This research has determined that Irish manufacturing companies are engaged in 14 different aspects of Industry 4.0. The principal aspect engaged is data analytics. This research has found that Irish manufacturing companies are well placed to take advantage of the opportunities the fourth industrial revolution is bringing. Irish companies have a high awareness of the Industry 4.0 concept and the competitive advantages it brings, and many are already seeing an impact on their organisations. So I hope you did learn a little bit about Industry 4.0 and the readiness of Irish manufacturing for Industry 4.0 and the answers to those 4 questions which I posed at the start of the presentation. A few weeks ago, the neuroscientist researcher Philippe George said, imagine a world where we had robots that could treat Ebola patients and clean up nuclear waste. Well, we're almost there. So I'll take questions, then I'll close for a reflection at the end.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Billy. Well done. Okay, guys. I suppose from our perspective here, guys, can we unmute the guys? All unmuted. So you are now live. Just to let you know, you can't talk about us because we cannot hear you. If you have a question for Billy on his presentation, please forward it now. Sorry, when you were there. If you can send a question through and just give me your name before you start, because we can't see the screen on this side at the moment. It's a broad topic, Industry 4.0. It's always dangerous when you're dealing with something as broad an issue with this. And we asked Billy to come back with a platform first process and build it up from the ground in terms of what it is and where Irish industry is. Do we have any questions from our group online at the moment?
You want them submitted, Andrew, do you, on the chat box? Okay.
No, you can talk to us here. That's Niall, is it?
Yeah.
Hello, Niall. How are you in P&G? You good this morning?
Yeah, good, thanks. Very interesting, and I like it a lot. It's good perspective, and we all work in our own areas, and we think we're adopting. So this is good to get a broader, across the industry feel for what's going on. I really like the way it was condensed down to 4 concepts. Because the model I'm looking at has more of the 14 that Billy showed later. But I was really interested in point 3, decentralized self-organization. So what does Billy think are the things that are the steps in getting to decentralized self-organization? And is this more of adopting digital tools to allow that to happen? Or is this a kind of a leadership in an organization initiative that needs to be driven and enabled in organizations?
I think it's both. The technician on the shop floor needs all the information they need to make a decision. And Industry 4.0 can help them get all that information that they need to make a decision. But still, many companies still have highly hierarchical management systems where the technician has the information, but still has to phone their group leader, who has to phone their department manager, who has to phone the factory manager, who has to check with the US before the decision can be made. And that hierarchy really slows down decision making. Because what we'll see in the future is the technician will have all the data, have all the information. So we need to have systems and hierarchies that enable the decision making to happen on the shop floor, and not have a highly structured management system that really slows down decision making.
Very good. Thanks.
So Niall, in your world there in Procter & Gamble, what struck you as being something you hadn't seen before? I know you personally are well embedded in this Industry 4.0. Was it, what element of it was new to you, if you understand me?
Well, what was good and reinforcing is that data analytics is up there. We're really focused on that as well. So it's good to understand that that's been seen across the industry. Collaborative robots, yes, we've many of them here. Connected supply chain, that's a key one as well. So many of those 14 we're working on. I would say we've yet to see any significant impact from augmented or virtual reality or blockchain. So that's something that's not impacting us here in this operation for sure.
Excellent. Thank you, Niall. I appreciate that. Brian from Mergon. Brian, are you online at the moment?
I am indeed, Andrew. Yeah.
Hello. Brian, the data analytics one surprised me. I know you're the IT director up there. Tell me, data analytics, what does it mean to you guys? And are you stuck up to your teeth in it, or is it something you're comfortable about? Or What are you seeing from that?
We're absolutely stuck up to our teeth in it. And in relation to what William was saying there, we actually have recently released the production floor data analytics right down to the operator level. So we have a big touchscreen TV out on the floor now, and they can go out there and they can see the analytics on any of their machines, from rejects, downtime, parts produced, and they can analyze that themselves, as well as having the managers obviously analyzing it as well.
Super. And tell me, Brian, we'll say data scientists, as Billy mentioned there briefly about the third level and so on. Are you comfortable that Ireland Inc., your area there, your own organisation and so on, has access to that kind of expertise? Are you finding those people easy enough? Are you training them? What's your approach to that side of it in data analytics specifically?
Our approach has been that we're utilising myself, who's on a very steep learning curve, along with a gentleman that I actually met at a conference in the States last year. So I have kind of monthly training sessions with a guy that I met over in the States. He lives in Chicago, and he uses the same ERP system as us. So no, I haven't found any resources in Ireland that I use.
Okay, that's interesting. Thanks, Brian. Any other questions for Billy?
Andrew, Sean Ryan here. I have a question.
Hello, Sean from Tarmac. How are they on in Limerick?
I'm in Shannon. That's clear. They get very upset when you say that.
and you're a Corkman as well, on top of everything else. So you're a complete.
They don't like listening to Corkman.
Well, sorry, Sean. Belt away there.
Billy, I suppose my question relates to the survey. Is the SMEs, well, first of all, what kind of industries you were covering in the survey? And in particular, I'd be very interested in the SMEs that you feel have a lot of engagement. My own experience wouldn't corroborate what your survey is saying.
Good.
So we've seen a wide range of Irish manufacturing companies, everything from furniture manufacturers to semiconductor companies to medical devices responding. So I think it was a fairly representative sample of Irish manufacturing. Obviously, we targeted the IMR network, so but that still was it's not an unusual sample of the Irish manufacturing industries. So I think it was fairly diverse. And smaller companies, yes, were represented. Most of the respondents were from companies of less than 500 employees.
Sean, what didn't make sense to you? What was the bit that you said, no, that's nonsense? From you're a heavy engineering group down there. What are you seeing as a difficulty?
It's not the nonsense. I didn't think anybody was not nonsense. I thought it was excellent, to be honest. It was the first time I had come across the decentralized self-organization concept. And I suppose it makes an awful lot of sense then when you pull in the CSR as well, because while and again, as an SME, we see that being coming down from our customers, but very few of them. It's certainly, I wouldn't see it widely adopted. I suppose where I was struggling, Andrew, is while an awful lot of SMEs I know are looking at 4.0, it's difficult to say that I would see a lot of people actually engaged. Certainly, while we're engaged, we still haven't done an awful lot on it. Anything we've done is around visual management, which leads into data analytics, but I think I've only seen 2 cobots in any SME that I've been around. So I suppose that's where I was coming from.
It's very different. It's a very, very different respect. Okay, listen, Sean, thank you for that. Guys, I'm going to have to hold on the questions. We're out of time. Billy would like to finish with a small reflection, but equally we'll be sending on linkages to Billy directly. He's done some lovely research for us here, as you can see, and we're hoping that he'll run a little workshop he's thinking about at the moment, so maybe you guys can help him with what that might be orientated. And I love the fact that we've large multinationals and SMEs across all sectors on this morning, because it gives you a great perspective on it. So, Billy, I'll let the final word here.
Thank you, Andrew. As Andrew was saying, I'm thinking about putting together a workshop in Industry 4.0, just to introduce people to the concepts, the background, the history of it, just to give people a little bit more content on Industry 4.0. So if you have any inputs on what that might look like and what you think should be in that, just drop me a note. So on reflection on doing this research, I went back to the first industrial revolution, 1785, just when all those fabric mills are getting built in Scotland and Ireland and the north of England, water-powered fabric mills. And Robert Burns wrote a poem at that time, To a Mouse on Turning Her Up in Her Nest with the Plough. The best laid schemes of mice and men often go askew. So even the best planned of activities do not always go to plan. And that certainly was the case for me doing this research. But it was very enjoyable and very insightful into Irish manufacturing. On the last slide, there's a few links there. If you're interested in more what's happening in robots and surgery, there's 2 links there. And there's the paper that I referenced on the STAR system being the best robot in the world. I didn't just make it up, it is true.
All right, Billy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you next month, first Friday of next month. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it, guys. Okay. Thanks a million, guys.